Okay, Wednesday the 8th, we're on full body, 5, 6, or 7 rounds, your choice, and there's no part 2. We have squat jump to deadlift, Supermans, leg raises, alternating shoulder press. Squat jump, deadlift. Squat jump, deadlift. Superman. I feel like I can hear like a mouse or something. Like scurrying around. Because this is like a finished basement. So I wouldn't doubt it. Okay. Superman's. Definitely hear something. Leg raises. Alternating shoulder press. Okay. So first we have squat jump to deadlift. So this one you want to do heavy. Number one, because it's easier to pick up bigger weights off of the floor, but also most of you, like if you typically use 10 pounds for most things, that would equal 20 pounds. Most people, even if you are weak and you have never worked out, you've never done anything, if you've ever had like a child and you can pick that child up off the ground or groceries, anything, you can deadlift more than 20 pounds. So this one, if you do have heavier weights, I encourage you to try to use them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the weights in front of us. We are going to squat down and jump up, which is our squat jump. And then we're going to come down and we're going to keep our butt up in the air, which helps keep our back straight. Grab the weight, stand up, squeeze your butt, drop them back down. That's one, okay? So as I was explaining, the smaller the weight, the lower the handle is to the ground. So the more you have to bend down to grab the weight. The bigger your dumbbells are, the farther off the ground the handle will be, or at least farther than these really small weights. So again, that just makes it easier to grab. You don't have to bend as far down when you're grabbing them. So I'll do a couple in a row. Squat jump, get in position, deadlift. 1. Squat jump, get in position, deadlift. 2. So the tricky thing about this is if you're not like good with rhythm, it might take you a second to figure it out. But basically what I noticed is after I do my first squat jump, because you kind of land squatted down, I just drop down and as I said, find my position, meaning butt up in the air, straight back, get ready to complete my deadlift, lift up. Then when I go back down to start my second round, once again, I'm already in squatting position. So instead of standing up and then squat jumping again, what I was doing was I would finish my deadlift, I was here, I would cross my arms and kind of help myself jump up, reset, deadlift, put them down, jump, deadlift, put them down, jump, reset, deadlift. So you'll kind of find what works for you. And obviously I have been doing this a while. I know when my body is in the right position. So it's probably a little bit faster for me to get a good rhythm going. If you have to go slower, that's totally fine. It might feel very awkward to you, but either way, whichever way you do it, doing a squat jump and deadlifts back to back to back is gonna be tiring. So even if you're like, wow, this feels really weird, or I have to like stop in between everything, that's okay. Eventually you will get it, and maybe as the rounds go on, you might get a little better at it, but even if you're horrible at it, as long as you're doing both moves, you're gonna feel it. That one, when I did it, I was very surprised how tiring that one was. Superman's. Although it would make sense because squat jumps are very tiring. If you can't jump, you could always just squat. So you could do a couple different things. Well, I would just leave the weights on the ground. I would squat, position, deadlift, back down, body weight squat, grab them, get in position, deadlift, back down, okay? Superman's. I feel like I've explained this before because I feel like I remember talking about like it uses the whole back of your body and you're gonna feel it in your lower back and you might feel like you're not lifting that high off the ground, but that could be last month. That's totally possible. These demo videos just run into each other in my mind and I have such a hard time remembering what was filmed for this and what was filmed last time. So I'll just go over it again. So you're gonna stretch out, your arms are gonna be in front of you, your legs are back here, and what you're gonna do is you're going to lift everything up and you're gonna be balancing on your stomach. So you're gonna lift up, so my arms and legs are off the ground, back down, 1, up, hold, down, 2, up, hold, down, 3, up, hold, down, 4. So again, you might notice you feel it in your lower back. That's totally normal. You might feel like, oh, my legs are barely lifting off the ground. That's fine. A lot of people, their weakest part of their body is their whole backside of their body. Because when do you ever do something like that? Never. We're always, basically, if we do use our backs, it's usually something like bending over, which actually uses a lot of your butt and your legs. Sometimes if we're lifting things overhead, but in general, we use like our quads a lot, our abs a lot, our biceps and our shoulders a lot, but we don't really use like our full back often, or even like our calves or hamstrings. So it's very normal to be sore after that and or to have lower back pain like the next day. If you're feeling it during it, it's probably because you're tight. If it's like a sharp, excruciating pain, then don't do it. Leg raises. So this is a lower ab exercise. I've been trying to do it without my hands under my body. So normally I roll up, I stick my hands underneath, and then I do my leg lifts, which is just lifting up into the air, straight up, lower down, but don't touch the ground. Lift up, lower down, but don't touch the ground. So it's 1, 2, 3. What I've been trying to do is put my arms out to the side because when you do a lot of these lower ab exercises, you want to actually feel like you're pulling your stomach into the floor and your back should be laying flat. So most of us, when we go to sit on the ground, like right now, there's like an arch where part of my back is not touching the ground, right? Because you have your butt and then it kind of loops up and then you have like your mid-back. So there's a gap right there. So that's why I usually put my hands underneath my butt because then it also lifts my butt off the ground. Well, I've been working on trying, like I said, to suck my stomach into the ground and make it flat. So like right now, my whole back is touching the ground. And when I lower, where it usually would lift up, I'm still focusing on pushing it into the ground, lift up. Push it into the ground, lift up. So there is no gap. So that is much harder and it works your abs a lot more, it works your core a lot more, and it will strengthen it. So you can try if you would like to. Like I said, I've just recently been trying to do it that way because it's just easier to do it with my hands underneath. But I know, like I said, it's gonna strengthen my core. It's gonna be more of a challenge to try the other way. So if you're not quite sure what I'm trying to say, like where your butt comes up right here, when you lay on the ground, most likely that's not touching the ground. So what I'm saying is when I'm laying there, I'm kind of like focusing on pushing in this way. So now it is flat on the ground versus being out like this and there's a gap. Or maybe you don't have a gap. Maybe not everybody has a gap. I don't know. And then we have alternating shoulder press. So we're going to 16 because we are counting. 216 because we are alternating, so that's 8 per side. So you're gonna lift them here, almost like your front rack position, and we're just gonna punch overhead, one side at a time. 2, 3, 4. So as I mentioned when we were talking about the thrusters where you go up here, it's the same thing. You want to make sure you're by your ear. You want to make sure that you're straight. You're not back here. You're not forward. And most importantly, you're not sticking your butt out. If you find that when you lift things overhead, you almost feel more stable sticking your butt out, number one, I totally understand because that I feel more stable when my butt is backward and my back is arched, even though that's not true. It's actually making your back weaker. But for some reason, if you have like that type of sway in your back, it feels better. So if you find that you're doing this when you push overhead, squeeze your butt cheeks. So you'll go from here to here just by squeezing your butt. So if you notice that you do that, or you notice after doing a lot of things overhead, your lower back feels sore, you're probably arching. So think of that. When you press overhead, either think of squeeze your butt or think of tuck your hips. But it's both one and the same. Tuck my hips, squeeze my butt, it does the same thing. So try that if you notice that you are arching.